Imagine a warm June morning in 1987, the Sierra Nevada foothills glowing golden under a California sky. A 16-year-old girl named Theresa Ann Bier slips out of the house she shares in Fresno, excited for an adventure into the deep green wilderness. She climbs into an old car with a man more than twice her age, heading toward remote peaks and canyons where legends whisper of something ancient and unseen. They're searching for Bigfoot. Hours turn to days. The man returns alone. His words drift like mountain mist. First one version, then another, until he tells authorities that Bigfoot took her. Theresa has never been seen again. No trace, no answer. Only the vast whispering forest that keeps its secrets close. This is the true unsolved story of Theresa Ann Bier. Settle deeper into your bed now. Let your shoulders soften and breathe with the quiet rhythm of the night as we walk gently into those shadowed canyons together. We'll take a quick sponsor break and then we'll be back with your full, uninterrupted story. Hey, true crime fam. If you're as obsessed with all things true crime as I am, I've got the ultimate event you need to add to your calendar right now. CrimeCon 2026 is happening May 29th through the 31st at the iconic Caesars Palace in Las Vegas. It's going to be a true crime lover's dream come true. Picture this. You, me, and all your favorite true crime podcasters, best-selling authors, investigators, and TV personalities all in one spot. Panels, live shows, meet and greets, exclusive stories, and that electric vibe of being surrounded by thousands of fellow armchair sleuths. It's not just a convention, it's the ultimate true crime vacation in the heart of Las Vegas. Whether you're there to deep dive into cases, geek out over forensics, or just soak up the community energy, CrimeCon delivers it all. And here's the best part. If you use my special code, SLEEP, at checkout when you grab your tickets, you'll score a discount and you'll be helping me out big time. Seriously, it means the world to me, so thank you. Head over to crimecon.com to lock in your spot before tickets sell out. Mark those dates, May 29th through the 31st, 2026, Caesars Palace, Las Vegas. Don't sleep on this one. Pun intended. I can't wait to see you there. Welcome back, dear listener, to another peaceful evening with True Crime Sleep Stories. I'm so grateful you chose to spend this quiet time with me. Lights low, blankets warm, the world outside fading away. Tonight we turn the pages of a case that has lingered in the California mountains for nearly 4 decades. One filled with family heartache, wilderness mystery, and one of the most unusual explanations ever offered to law enforcement. Close your eyes whenever you like. Let your breathing slow in and out. We will move through Theresa's story with care and respect, fact by fact, until the canyons themselves seem to breathe beside you. Here is the story of Theresa Ann Bier. Theresa Ann Bier entered the world on April 16, 1971, in Fresno, California. She was one of several children born to Shirley and David Bier. From her earliest years, home was not always a place of safety or peace. When Theresa was only about 3 years old, she suffered a serious injury that required hospitalization. Her leg had been broken by her very own mother, the person who should have loved and protected her. Social services became involved, and Theresa and her sisters were removed from their parents' care. For a time, the girls found a gentler chapter with Sylvia Pierce, a kind woman from their church who opened her home to Theresa and her sister Vicky. Those years in foster care brought a measure of stability and affection that had been missing before. The girls experienced consistency and care in Sylvia's household, something precious for young hearts that had known uncertainty. Later, after their parents divorced, their father, David, regained custody. He had remarried, and the family moved to Southern California. Life there brought its own challenges, and eventually, Theresa returned north to Fresno. She lived for a while with her great-grandmother before custody shifted once more, this time to her uncle, John Richmond, sometimes called Blind Johnny. By 1987, 16-year-old Theresa was living in Fresno with her uncle. She stood 5 feet 5 inches tall and weighed about 110 pounds. She had soft brown hair and warm hazel eyes. Her upper front teeth protruded just slightly, and a faint surgical scar marked her lower right leg, a lasting reminder of that childhood injury. Friends and teachers knew her by the nickname Sam. She was described as immature for her age and sometimes behind in school due to all of the hardship she had experienced as a young child, but she carried a quiet eagerness for connection and new experiences. On the morning of Monday, June 1st, 1987, Theresa told 2 close friends, Peggy and Janice, that she planned to skip school that day. A man she had recently met was taking her on an outing into the mountains. She sounded excited about the adventure. That man was 43-year-old Russell Skip Welch, a house painter who lived in the Fresno area. Skip and Theresa's Uncle John knew each other. Skip had a deep fascination with Bigfoot. He described himself as a serious student of the legend and spoke earnestly about underground colonies of the creatures living in caves beneath the Sierra Nevada. Skip arrived at the house that morning. Theresa was dressed for school in a simple white t-shirt, blue jeans, and laced sandals. Instead of driving her to class, they headed northeast together toward the remote high country of the Sierra National Forest. Their destination was the rugged terrain around Shuteye Peak, roughly 25 miles northeast of Bass Lake. Some accounts from later reinvestigations also reference the area known locally as Ghost Canyon. Steep, thickly forested canyons where the trees grow dense and the trails fade into silence. Theresa was last seen around 7:20 that evening. Back in Fresno, her school called her uncle, wondering why she had not arrived. John spent part of the day asking around about her. That night, at approximately 9:30, he reported his niece missing to the Fresno Police Department. Several days passed before authorities located Skip Welch. He had returned to the Fresno area and was staying at his mother's house in the Sunnyside neighborhood. When first questioned, his account began to shift. At first, he said he had simply dropped Theresa off at school that morning. Later, he acknowledged they had gone into the mountains together. He suggested she had run away from him, then that she had left with another young woman, then with other campers. Eventually, Skip offered the explanation that would become headline news. They had encountered Bigfoot. Multiple times, he said. Theresa had become excited, chasing after the creature. He claimed she had willingly gone with it to join a hidden community living in underground caves. In some tellings, the creatures had taken her. In others, she was happier there than she had ever been at home. Skip insisted on referring to her only as Sam, her nickname. During one interview, he volunteered, unprompted, that if searchers ever found Theresa, there would be no sign of sexual abuse. He added that although she had been willing to have a relationship with him, he would never have done so with a young girl. It was not in his nature. On June 5th, officers spotted Skip's 1976 brown Chevrolet Monte Carlo parked near a trailer park in the foothills. He agreed to lead them to the campsite where he and Theresa had stayed. He guided them to a small grove of trees beside Browns Creek. Inside the grove, investigators found a smoldering fire still burning slowly among damp pine needles. Blankets were arranged in an unusual pattern. Scattered nearby were Theresa's purse, fragments of clothing, including an off-white bra, photographs of the countryside, and pictures of Theresa herself. One photo showed Skip playing guitar beside what appeared to be the same blankets. Deputies studying the background of those photos believed the actual campsite was much deeper in the wilderness, possibly 20 miles farther into the area known as Ghost Canyon. This site, they thought, had been staged. Bloodhounds were brought in. They picked up Theresa's scent at the grove. But the trail ended there. Helicopters swept over the ridges and meadows. Ground teams searched the steep, trackless terrain. A blue shirt belonging to Skip was later spotted on a hillside. Inside a pocket was methamphetamine. The wilderness around Shuteye Peak and Ghost Canyon is immense. Hundreds of thousands of acres of rugged canyons, dense pine forests, and near impenetrable slopes. A person could vanish there with almost no trace. Searchers found no footprints leading away from the area, no clothing caught on branches, no signs of accident or struggle. The mountains simply held their silence. Skip Welch was charged with child stealing and child endangerment. He was arraigned and briefly released, then rearrested when bail was properly set. As September 1987 approached and a trial date drew near, prosecutors offered him a plea. Plead guilty, serve 1 year, and sign a waiver allowing future murder charges if Theresa's remains were ever recovered. Skip refused. 3 days before trial, the charges were dropped. The district attorney's office wanted to preserve the possibility of charging him with murder later without risking double jeopardy. Without a body and without conclusive physical evidence, they did not have enough for a guaranteed conviction. Extensive searches throughout that summer and beyond produced no further clues. Theresa Ann Bier has never been found. In 2025, the Discovery Channel series Bigfoot Took Her brought fresh attention to the case. Investigator Jessica Chobot and former LAPD detective Robert Collier retraced the old trails, spoke with witnesses who had remained silent for decades, and examined the police reports once more. They explored the remote canyons, the cultural context of the late 1980s in Fresno, and the way vast wilderness can conceal both evidence and truth. New interviews surfaced, new perspectives were considered, yet still, no body, no final resolution. The canyon kept its secrets. Let's talk about the psychology of these wildly absurd cover stories, because Skip Welch didn't just say she ran away. He went full throttle. She saw Bigfoot, got excited, chased after it, and now she's happier living with the creatures in their underground caves. Why do guilty people, or people who are at least deeply involved, go so over the top? Is it pure panic in the moment? Is it meth-fueled delusion that actually makes them believe their own story for a second? Or is it calculated? The more ridiculous it sounds, the more it turns the whole investigation into a circus and buys them precious time. Skip changed his story 4 or 5 times in the first days, even volunteered. And, by the way, if you ever find her, there won't be any signs of sexual abuse. That's not normal. That's someone trying to control the narrative before the cops even get started. Additionally, this entire case is soaked in 1980s California meth culture and the paranoia that came with it. Fresno in the late 80s, meth was exploding, especially in working-class neighborhoods. Skip was a hardcore user. His own wife had died of an overdose a few years earlier. His daughter later admitted he used to lure young girls into the mountains with drugs and wild stories. Johnny Richmond, Theresa's uncle, legally blind, selling and using, same world. these guys weren't just getting high. The paranoia turned normal people into full-blown conspiracy theorists who genuinely believed in Bigfoot colonies living in underground caves beneath the Sierra. There were satanic cults and sex slavery rings in his versions, too. Could that be true? Maybe, but we will likely never know for sure. The drugs didn't just destroy their morals, they rewired their reality. And then there's the heartbreaking foster system vulnerability that put Theresa exactly where she was. This poor girl, abused so badly by her mom, removed by social services, bounced to foster care, back to her dad, where the stepmom allegedly locked the fridge so the kids went hungry, then to her great-grandmother, and finally handed over to Uncle Johnny, a meth-dealing, legally blind man living in total chaos with a 17-year-old girlfriend and 2 little boys. How many Theresas are still out there right now? Kids the system is supposed to protect, but instead keeps shuffling into the next dangerous home because family is the default and nobody has the time to look too closely. The wilderness itself became the perfect narrative camouflage. Drop someone in Ghost Canyon or the remote ridges around Shuteye Peak. Hundreds of thousands of acres of steep, thick forested, almost impossible to search terrain. And suddenly the story writes itself. The mountains swallowed everything. Bigfoot lore was already thick in those parts, so when he said the creature took her, a lot of locals just nodded. The wilderness didn't just hide the crime. It gave the killer the ultimate alibi, a myth that's been around forever. Theresa would be 54 years old today. She might have built a quiet life somewhere far from the mountains, perhaps with children or grandchildren of her own. The Sierra Nevada claimed her in some unknowable way on that long-ago June evening. Sadly, we may never know for certain what really happened. And so we come to the quiet close of Theresa's story, or at least as much of it as the world has been allowed to know. A young girl who longed for adventure stepped into the whispering woods and never stepped out again. A man offered an extraordinary explanation, and the endless mountains chose not to contradict him. The wind still moves through the pines around Shuteye Peak. The creeks still murmur over the stones in Ghost Canyon. And somewhere in that vast, ancient landscape, the silence continues its gentle watch. If you carry any small piece of this puzzle, if you were in those mountains in the summer of 1987, if you knew Skip Welch or anyone connected to the case, if you remember something that never reached the official reports, please reach out, even now, to the Fresno Police Department at 559-498-1265. The smallest detail offered even after all these years might finally bring answers to a family that has waited so very long. For now, Theresa rests somewhere in the quiet embrace of the Sierra. Thank you for sharing this gentle night with me. If Theresa's story touched your heart, I would be grateful if you left a kind review or told a friend about true crime sleep stories. New episodes arrive each week to help ease you into peaceful sleep. Until next time, sleep deeply and dream softly. Good night. True Crime Sleep Stories is hosted and created by Kelly Brink, produced with the support of our dedicated team. Subscribe, rate, and review us on your favorite podcast platform to help us keep telling these haunting tales. Visit patreon.com/KellyBrink for exclusive content and to join our community. Thank you for listening, and we'll meet you in the shadows next time. Until then, stay safe out there and lock your doors. Good night.